Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. Jay Craw's here. Bamlin in the, well, we don't know where Bamlin is, but he is running the show behind the scenes. So he's around. But we have a great show coming up for you, a very busy show. We're going to alternate the show a little bit today. I know we were looking forward to having Sarah on here. We're going to actually have her later in the week. She wasn't feeling a little under the weather today, so we're hoping to get her back this week. So pivoting to talking back, we're going with a, well, I guess you could call it a, I don't know, a healthy Wednesday or a medical update Wednesday or insert whatever, Safety Wednesday. Yeah, there you go. And we're going to replay our interview that we did with Dane County Emergency Management and Pulsepoint Aed. We'll show you that interview, and we'll still have Jeff Doslick on here as we talked to him earlier as well in the month. So we'll have all of that for you coming up. So stay tuned for that. But before we get to that, let's talk about a few headlines we got. We got some for you today. We'll start with spring break programs happening now. There's some openings. Yeah, the kiddos have been on spring break for like the last 3 weeks. But the 3 school districts. So last 3 weeks, right? Good news is there's still some openings for some of the classes that are going on right now. So if you're interested, get those kiddos signed up, ages 6 to 13. More information is at the rec department, and we would love to have you join in and be a part of this great program that's put on by the rec. Also mentioned, we did talk to CC. She said, get on the waiting list because some of the kids have dropped out, so you might be able to get in. So don't let the waiting list hold you up from getting those kiddos signed up. All right, turning to other volunteer opportunities in the city of Fitchburg. A work day happening Saturday, April 9th. And this is going to be at the Corey Hill Trail System. Corey Ridge. I always say Corey Hill because it's a hill. But, Ridge, I see you laughing over there. Don't even. So Scott and Andrew will be out there helping out. This is a train wreck already. Helping out. And you can help out too. Meet either at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. You be group 1, group 2. Doesn't matter. Just bring your lovely self out there and volunteer for some cleanup on the trails and wooded areas there. Again, happening April 9th, so check that out. And it says no experience necessary. Just come on out and have some fun. All right, Metro Transit Network redesign project to tell you about. We want to break it down for you a little bit. Certainly you have all the information you need and to know what is going on with the process. So Madison Metro, or Metro Transit as it is now, is working on a network redesign, and they held their first public meeting back in late February of this year. You can catch that meeting if you missed the opening meeting. That's available through the City of Madison's website. Kind of talking about what the plan and this redesign looks like. You can also take a survey about this, and we'll get you those details coming up. But the city of Fitchburg, we're going to be hosting a similar, specifically focused on the routes around Fitchburg. This meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 28th at 6 o'clock p.m. The meeting will be hosted at the City Hall Common Council Chambers, 5520 Lacey Road. We'll have virtual options as well, so you can watch remotely from a couple different places, which we'll tell you about those places because we got a few of them for you. Check it out. First one, you can go over the Boys and Girls Club on Genoan Way. You've got the Doxa Church and the community room at the Fairways Clubhouse. All of those will be virtual places to go watch and provide feedback to this plan. Finally, if you can't make it to those, you still can, and you still should, participate in the survey. The survey is out. They're looking for feedback on the redesign project for 2023. Review the draft plan online, or you can go to one of the Madison libraries to get the review the plans, or get surveys. You can print them off and or get them on the bus. So on any of the buses, they'll have some of those surveys there available. Plus by mail, if you want to do the survey by mail, call 608-266-4466 and they can send you that as well. But looking for as much feedback as we can get on the plans. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we're opening up our digest. We're talking about the Pulsepoint app. Stay tuned. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so follow guidance from authorities where you live and stay home unless absolutely necessary. Use a delivery service for essential items like food and medicine. If you must make essential trips, stay 6 feet apart from other people. Wear a cloth face covering and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
Hey, boss. Okay.
Said I'm fine.
Me to bed, see you in the morning. With the first did Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. We were underlay in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Bob.
You know you can talk to me.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us.
Ready!
That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from Dane County Emergency Management, we have Eric Anderson. Eric, welcome to Talking Fitchburg. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. Today, we're going to talk about an awesome app that has been out now for a while. It's called Pulsepoint. And if you haven't heard about it, we're going to explore all the great things that are important about it and how you can get involved in using it. So first and foremost, Eric, Dane County Emergency Management, what do you guys deal with overall? And I know you're on the EMS side of things too. So, you know, it's a loaded question, but what services do you guys provide to Dane County?
Yeah, absolutely. So the overarching role of Dane County Emergency Management is to support our local municipalities and our communities to prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies, whether it's flooding. Today we'll talk about sudden cardiac arrest, which fits more into the EMS division, but we are a lot of support and coordination and getting people connected with the resources to help be better prepared and recover from emergencies.
Yeah, and you folks do a great job, and maybe I'm more biased to public safety, but you guys are doing a wonderful job. Pulsepoint came out now several years ago. What is Pulsepoint for people who are not familiar?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2015, we partnered with the Meritor Foundation to purchase Pulsepoint. And Pulsepoint is an app that essentially integrates with our 911 system. And Pulsepoint will use your location and your cell phone. And depending on the location of a cardiac arrest, it has the potential to alert you that CPR is needed in that area. So for example, if I was in a public setting, if I was in a local park and somebody experienced a cardiac arrest, 911 would be able to alert me as somebody who's CPR trained and has the activations alerted to go and respond and provide care to that patient before EMS or law enforcement get there.
And why is it so important to have this tool at our fingertips when we're talking about that sudden cardiac arrest?
Yeah, absolutely. So time is everything. And this is a situation, I think a good phrase is we are each other's best chance when it comes to sudden cardiac arrest, because even in the best scenarios, EMS might be 5 to 6 minutes away. And that's in a really good scenario. So the more time that we can spend providing quality CPR to that patient, if they have experienced a cardiac arrest, is going to give them a better chance to respond to the treatments that the ambulance and the fire department are going to provide.
How about success stories? So has it worked? We've had this for a while now. What are some of the success stories that you've heard from this Pulsepoint app?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think probably the most publicly recognized, there was a student at Madison College that experienced a sudden cardiac arrest. And you talk about, you know, it's a tragic situation, but the best case scenario, if you collapse in a room full of paramedics and paramedic instructors, and the staff throughout the school were notified via the Pulsepoint app, and they were able to go and render aid while the paramedics were coming. And that patient ended up having a great outcome. And we're hopeful that she'll be a speaker at our upcoming Survivor celebration.
That's awesome. And yeah, it is so important. Timing is everything with these situations, no matter what it is. Overall, for people who are interested in Pulsepoint and downloading the app, how can they where can they find it, and what would be some of the things you'd point out for usage?
Yeah, definitely. So anywhere that you get apps. So if you're on an iPhone, you could get it wherever you download anything else. When you look for Pulsepoint, you want to look for one of two things. It's a red icon for what we call Pulsepoint Respond, which is the app that will alert you to CPR. It's a little red block with a pin and then an EKG line through it. And then the other one that I would suggest that people get is called Pulsepoint Aed, which is the exact same logo. It's just in yellow. It's a free app. You can download it. When you're setting that app up, just make sure that a couple of things happen. Make sure that when you get into the app, you are subscribed to the CPR alerts, if you're trained and you're comfortable doing so. And make sure that in your phone, you're allowing the app to track your location, because it won't work unless that phone knows where you are in proximity to it.
As far as looking down the road and other ideas for Pulsepoint, is there any other tools that can be added to Pulsepoint, or anything that we've learned from using this that you guys have made adjustments to it? Without knowing too much more in depth, I have Pulsepoint, but what other features could you guys expand on in the future? Are we kind of, this is working and we're going to keep up with it?
It is working, but we always have room to expand. So two of the areas that we're really digging into, the first one is that Pulsepoint AED. So we do have a registry of registered AEDs in our area, and we now have that connected to our 911 center. So our 911 call takers are fabulous at providing chest compression diagnostics, helping people through that if they're not trained or they're not initially comfortable, to try and get chest compressions going as quickly as possible. And now we have that AED registry connected, so that if you're within a certain distance of an AED, they can tell you. They no longer have to ask if one's available. They can say, hey, you have this defibrillator, send somebody to go get it if you can. So that's one area of expansion. The other area is a program called Verified Responder. And this is something that the Madison Fire Department did implement a few years ago. And we know that 3/4 of cardiac arrests happen within a person's home. And that's something that right now in Pulsepoint, to the general public, we're not alerting them to, and that's admittedly a gap. If we have 3/4 of people having this event at their home, we need to get people to their home as quickly as possible. So the Verified Responder program proved promising, and that's something that we're pursuing for the rest of the county. Again, right now, that's the City of Madison Fire Department. But the idea is that if you are affiliated with an EMS agency and we have the background check and we verify that you are an EMS or a fire department professional in our area, then you would be given the updated permissions to be able to respond into people's homes. So that's not something that we're expanding to the general public. I won't say that will never happen, never say never, but right now we're just trying to get people connected with defibrillators as quickly as possible and trying to get to the alerts in the patient's homes as much as we can.
Yeah, and you really think of the history of all of this. I mean, the basic of just trying to get people to do CPR classes, and now we have this at our fingertips, is just amazing. And this might be a great chance to remind folks, Eric, why is it so important to take those CPR classes, no matter who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first and foremost reason is you never know whether or not it's a training you hope you never have to need, but if you do need it, it's something that you want to be comfortable with and you want to be able to spring into action. I think it's a training that, to the general public, up until recently, it was maybe a little cost prohibitive or just difficult to find a class, but something that we're trying to push out now is a process called hands-only CPR, so that, John Q. Public doesn't have to go to a formal course and take a test and all that kind of stuff to feel like they have the tools needed to help somebody in cardiac arrest. And there are a lot of videos, and again, the 911 call center will help refresh your memory if you're CPR trained, but you're just in an incredibly stressful moment that maybe you haven't experienced before. They'll help you coach through that. But that's something that any hands on the chest and getting as best of chest compressions as we can is going to give that patient the best chance.
Absolutely, Eric. This has been great information. Appreciate your time. Any other comments on Pulsepoint or Dane County EMS or emergency management?
I just want to thank all the EMS, fire department, law enforcement professionals who do what they do. I want to thank anybody who does take the initiative to download the Pulsepoint app. And if you do have the opportunity to use the app, or if you're alerted, please fill out the survey afterwards. That helps us a great deal in getting better care to people when they need it.
Well, great work, Eric. Thank you so much for your time. You're a friend of the show now forever, so hopefully we can have you back on down the road. And tell Carrie Meyer hi for me. As I said before, she's doing former EMS partner there, so she's great. But you guys are doing some great stuff there, and we appreciate your time.
Absolutely appreciate it. Thanks, Jeremy.
You bet. Pulsepoint app. Check out the Dane County website under emergency management. You can download or just search that app store and find Pulsepoint today and the AED version as well. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Fitchrona EMS, our friend Jeff Doslick, Deputy Chief. So much more. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much. Great introduction.
Hey, yeah. Well, you are the man, so we got to step it up every time we can. Jeff, we got a couple of different topics to talk about today. We'll start. I as marked it as 'tis the season for slips and falls because we're kind of in that transition period where it's warm, it's cold, it's warm, it's cold. Then you can slip and fall and everything else. So as we start to close out winter, have you guys been seeing a lot of those types of things because of the weather?
We've seen a few. Unfortunately, the people in our district are rather safe, which is good from that standpoint. But it is something that constantly worries me because, those injuries, whether they're, breaks of bones and hands and, legs, they also cause head injuries. And those can be much more devastating, especially for those patients that are on Coumadin or warfarin or any of those blood thinning products. So I remind my wife every morning when she walks out to, watch for the ice, and she always turns and gives me that funny look of like, why do you keep reminding me of that? And I told her, I keep reminding you of it because it's one of those things that we just, as it gets warmer, we go for walks and we just don't pay much attention to those small slippery spots that are on the sidewalks or in the parking lots because of the melting snow. So I just ask people to really pay attention of, their surroundings when they're out there, especially now as the snow is melting. Today it's 40 degrees. It's going to be nice all weekend. Fortunately, most of the snow will melt. But if we do get another snowstorm and then it happens to freeze and melt, and it does become an issue. And I know the ERs have been fairly busy with those types of incidents as well. So I ask people just to be real careful when they're out there.
Yeah, I think great safety tips, and I know that I'm a victim to a fall of black ice that I didn't see. It was warm out, and sprained my ankle years ago. So it happens just like that. And of course, I was distracted by the cell phone, so I'll leave it at that.
Right. Don't walk don't walk and text at the same time.
You just can't do it. It just can't do it. Also, COVID-19, the mask mandate just lifted in Dane County for indoor parts. But overall, what are you seeing out there as far as trends goes? We've seen definitely go down, but this first quarter, what were were you seeing a lot of calls related, or what have you seen out there?
Yeah, call volume was, I'll knock on wood because I haven't said this very often in the last year and a half, but call volume was actually under 300 calls for the month of February. That's the first time in over 13 months where the service has been under 300 calls. The calls that we're seeing are higher acuity, trauma related stuff as summer, as spring starts to open up. We've seen a lot of cardiac arrest calls, and I'm not really sure what those are a result of. As we know, when COVID hit, a lot of people didn't want to go to the hospital. A lot of elective procedures were put on hold. People waited because they didn't want to be, they didn't want to go in and expose themselves to that hospital stuff. But I think from the standpoint of the staff, our staff is healthy. We were fortunate enough to not have a lot of staff go out with COVID. Where we saw some staff absences was a result of family members being sick and staff having to stay home and take care of them. So we did a phenomenal job, I think, from our staff standpoint to take care of ourselves and follow the rules that were out there. We've opened up at least, the mask mandate in the station has gone away. What we've asked our staff is to make sure that they wear, if they're sick or have a family member that is sick, to make sure that they wear a mask, to protect themselves and others. And then, of course, we'll still highly recommend that they wear at least a surgical mask while they're out on calls. If it's a respiratory, cardiac arrest, high acuity type call, we've encouraged them to put on an N95. We've seen, as far as getting supplies in, the supply chain has opened up quite a bit. So we do have, an adequate amount of N95s to get us through, hopefully not another pandemic, but, a couple of years of, just regular, calls. And so,
yeah,
fortunately, we've been very lucky, I think.
Well, that's good to hear, and appreciate the update on that front. Final discussion today. You guys announced that you'll be part of a study of lights and sirens and not using them as much. Tell us about this trend.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this study. Historically, emergency service providers, run red lights and sirens to all of the calls that we go to, and there's been a misconception that using lights and sirens gets us there faster. The national study by the National Association of EMS the Quality Alliance, which are national providers around the country, have gotten together to take a look and see if that's really the case. Are we really getting there faster? Some studies have shown that we're not. We're only saving about anywhere between 40 seconds and about 2.5 minutes on average, a 90 percentile average of calls. So what we're trying to do is take a look at the calls that we've dispatched that are lower acuity calls, the alpha level, low acuity calls, Bravo level, low acuity calls, and some of the Charlie level calls, and not responding red lights and sirens to those calls, because we're really not saving any time. But we are, when we respond lights and sirens, really putting ourselves and the public at risk by going through those intersections, changing the lights. People that are driving don't know which way to turn. And the same holds true for transporting to the hospital. Are we really making a difference by going faster to get to the hospital? Now, I get it if it's your loved one and we're showing up with no lights and sirens and you wonder why we're doing that. I understand that there's a public perception. Part of the study is to throw out as in, how do we change culture, and how do we change the numbers? And for us, the numbers as far as response is concerned, we want to be at about 70% of our responses being no lights and sirens, and we're between 55 and 60%. So we still have some work to do on that. And then as far as transporting to the hospital, they want us at least at 95% of the time transporting no lights and sirens, and we're between 88 and 90. So we're pretty close on those. And what we'll look at is those responses that are being transported to the hospital, lights and sirens, is we'll QA those calls to see if they were really necessary. Part of it is educating the staff on expectations and what our response policy is. And then this part of it for us today, and I'm glad you brought it up, is educating the public and trying to change the public perception that not every call, while we understand it's your emergency and we're there for you, but not every call requires a really rapid response of lights and sirens. So we're trying to do it, be proactive, take the public's interest in mind, understand where they're coming from. And if we need to do more education to change the culture of the perception of the public on what an emergency is. Now, we're working with our fire department partners in this, and it's an ongoing process. So I would suspect that, as we work through this, you may see the ambulance show up non-emergent, fire truck may show up, with lights and sirens. And we're trying to figure out how we can best serve the public with closest unit going red lights and sirens and other units not. So that's where we're at. I encourage people to send me an email, jeffd@fitchroneems.com. You certainly can call us, and I'll explain, try to explain what we're trying to do here and try to change the public perception.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
it's
big lift.
education. It is. It's a big education piece on both fronts, and that's what the study will help kind of help decipher through and see those trends. And it's safety first, right? If the ambulance can't get to you, then it's not going to be worth anybody's time for calling 911. Not saying that Fitchburg or any EMS service or fire service isn't safe on getting there, but you're right. It's just that education of when that's happening and everything that surrounds that. So it's going to be great to get more information, Jeff, and we'll certainly follow up with you on that for sure.
We're one of 50 services around the country. We were chosen to be one of 50 services. City of Madison, Monona, and Deer Grove EMS in our area are part of the study. So it's not just us doing it locally. This is being looked at across the country, and how do we change perception across the country and saving lives. Saving lives by not crashing ambulances and getting providers and the public hurt in the response of what could be considered a non-emergent call is important.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you breaking it down, Jeff, and we'll look forward to learning more on that report and check back in with you next month.
Great. Thanks.
You bet. Jeff Doslick, your Deputy Chief of Fitchburg EMS, and we'll check back in with them real soon and keep you up to date on that lights and sirens study. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be flood next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for today, I would like to thank our friends from Dane County EMS and Jeff Doslick from Fitchburg. It was like an all EMS day. Love it. We have both of those videos posted online for you. Check it out. And as we wrap up, everybody should join us. Let me tell you, you could join us on Fact TV. Yes, check us out on social media, YouTube, and at the website, fitchburgwi.gov.